fifth graders, Miss Malvika here. We are ready for our final fantasy book club video. I've got my sword, I've got my crown, so let's begin. Fantasy reading lesson number 6, comparing and contrasting the theme and symbolism in two fantasy stories. All was as it should be. Star lowered her head at last to drink. So, you finished your book. What do you think? Do you take your book and just shove it in a stack of books and call it good? You're all done? No. It's natural to want to compare your book to all the other books that you've read. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you like about it? Was it better than some? What do you think of your book? How does it compare? Today's learning target is, I compare and contrast the themes and symbols in fantasy stories. Now, if you're going to compare and contrast two stories, first you need to have two stories. So for this example, we have chosen to compare Rowan of Rin and a short video called The Girl and the Fox. You might not be familiar with this video, so we're going to watch it together now. So now we've got the 2 stories that we'll be using for our model. What 2 stories will you choose? You need to use your book club book, so that's one of your stories. You can compare your book club book to Rowan of Rin if you've been listening to that story and following along with that all along. If you haven't, or you prefer not to, you don't have to choose Rowan of Rin. You could compare your book club book to The Girl and the Fox, or you could compare your book club book to another fantasy movie that you know. If you're not sure what to choose, check with your teacher. Now you're ready to meet the learning target, to compare and contrast the themes and symbolisms in 2 stories. First, how are these 2 stories the same? What's one theme that both of the stories have, and one craft that both of the stories have? We're just going to use symbolism as the craft in your stories. One theme in both of these stories is sometimes you have to be brave and face challenges in order to solve your problems. For example, in Rowan of Rin, they had to face spiders and forests and tunnels and a dragon in order to bring the water back to Rin. And in The Girl and the Fox, she had to face the river and chasing the fox to find him and the snow cold night in order to bring safety to her family because the fox was killing the animals at her place. So one theme that both of these short stories showed was sometimes you have to be brave and face challenges to solve your problems. In addition to sharing one same theme, both stories use the same craft. They both use symbolism. One craft used in both of these stories is symbolism. In Rowan of Rin, there is a dragon, and a dragon is a symbol of danger, and that represents the problem in that story for the people. In The Girl and the Fox, there's a fox, and a fox is a symbol of sneakiness, and that's the problem for the girl's family. Also, in both stories, it's winter, and winter and snow are symbols of death, and that comes in the climax of both of those stories. Great! Now that you've shown how these 2 stories are the same, let's talk about how they're different. You can choose just a few details or specific examples of how the 2 stories are different. These 2 fantasy stories are different in several ways. For example, in Rowan of Rin, the main character is a boy, and in The Girl and the Fox, the main character is a girl. So that's one major difference. Both of these stories had an animal as the bad guy of the story, the person with the power, but clearly they're different because one's a dragon and one's a fox. And I really liked how in these stories, the animals lived at the end, and everyone lives happily ever after. The girl gets back together with her family, and Rowan of Rin, well, there's 4 more books in the series if you want to read them. Well, 5th graders, for the last time, it's your turn. First, finish your book, and choose a story that you're going to compare your book to. After you've finished your book and chosen the one to compare it to, then write about the themes and symbols in both stories. You might say, one theme in both stories is, and write the theme. Then explain it. In my club book, this theme was shown when, blank, blank, blank. In the other story, this theme was shown when, blank, blank, blank. Continue writing about similarities as you write about craft. One craft in both stories is symbolism, and then give examples. In my club book, one symbol was, tell what it represents, and then in the other story, one symbol was, tell what it represents. After you've written about the similarities, just tell a couple of differences. One way these 2 fantasy stories are different is, and turn it in. Send your assignment to your teacher. Let us know if you need help. Now, what's next? First of all, you need to turn in your book by June 4th. Also, most of your books are series, so you can look online to check out book 2 to read this summer. Ask your teacher if you need some help finding it. And then in your packet on June 4th, there will be a photocopy of 2 more fantasy stories to read and answer similar questions about. These are your last reading assignments for 5th grade. 5th graders, I want to thank you. Thank you for watching these videos. Thank you for reading your books. Thank you for listening to my read aloud. Thank you for writing to us and for connecting with us about books. I really, really appreciate it. We really appreciate you and all the hard work you've done. So, enjoy your summer and keep reading.